33 years ago, I returned to Northern Ireland with a sheaf of contacts underneath one arm and a 15-month-old baby girl underneath the other. My mission was to set up a brand new organisation, one that was going to develop a common purpose among civic leaders, uniting them from the public, the private, the voluntary and the community sectors in a single goal: to make Northern Ireland a better place. It required a leap of faith. Belfast in 1992 was not a safe place. 85 people were killed that year alone. Hundreds of others were seriously injured. The ceasefires were some way off, and many more families would be afflicted with the grief and loss of losing their beloved family members before a peace deal was actually signed. So I return from multicultural London to our society here, which for too long had had to live with the spectre and indeed the reality of what we heard controversially called an unacceptable level of violence. Well, it wasn't just an aspiration on my part that by linking these leaders from across all of these sectors and sections of society that I, with they, alone could make a difference. Far from it. It was founded in an absolute conviction that change was needed, the status quo could not hold, and that widening the pool of people involved in making change happen was essential. As Seamus Heaney once said, if you have the words, there's always a chance that you will find the way. What I discovered through 10 years of curating conversations amongst hundreds of leaders here in Northern Ireland, and indeed right the way across the island of Ireland, was what I called the alchemy of dialogue. In medieval times, alchemists sought to create gold out of base metal, half magic, half metallurgy, the turning of base elements into something precious, something of value. What I saw in practice was alchemy of a different kind. Working with these leaders, looking at lots of issues affecting our society here, big issues around social and economic policy issues, what I saw was something different. I saw a tempering of viewpoints, a nuancing of hard, fast, and hard-held positions. What I saw was the alchemy of dialogue in practice as we wove new understanding in a tensile thread that linked these leaders in an entirely different way. We had business leaders sitting down alongside and speaking face-to-face with ex-combatants, people who were now embarked on building a peace, who had been at war. We had school principals and city councillors meeting and working with those on the front line, addressing homelessness and disadvantage in our communities. We had police chiefs and academics joining in and participating in the first known platform discussion of the ancient order of Hibernians and the Orange Order. I don't know that there's been one since. And we had community leaders, veterans of positive change, endlessly and patiently explaining to those uninitiated and better off beside them how poverty anchored communities in division and despair. I remember one occasion in particular. It was 1993. The very first group of 33 leaders from across all of these sectors had come together. They were working through that programme, tackling those issues, and the day in question was our day devoted to examining crime and justice. It had been a difficult day. As part of it, they had just met with 2 men, both ex-prisoners, both men who had been involved in the violence, the conflict, one Republican, one Loyalist, both of whom had described their journey into conflict and now their journey beyond it, the fact that they were on a different path, a shared path, a path to peace. At the wash-up session, in that suburban hotel, on that warm, sunny afternoon, the room felt somber. It felt charged. You know the way the atmosphere feels like just before a thunderstorm, and the room was silent. I stood surveying my 33 participants arranged in rows, just like you today, facing towards me. Silence hovered. And then one man broke the silence, and he read a prepared statement in which he described his anger and his fear at what he had just been exposed to. He said, "They are men of violence after all." He wanted to know, was he still safe? The room went quiet again. And then another man spoke, and he spoke in support of the first. "Surely this is not what we are here to do. Be talked at by terrorists." The room went quiet. And then, one by one, with determination and respect, other voices responded. This is exactly what we should be doing. This is what being a leader in this place right now is all about. I watched as those pioneers of conversations forged a new understanding amongst people who had never put their head above the parapet before, who were now united in being clear about what it meant to be a leader here. And it was as if there was an abundance of little flames going on in the room. And in that moment, I recognized that the alchemy of dialogue is not about creating gold, but it is about creating light. Scroll forward to the present day. Across 3 decades, those leaders now number in their thousands across the island of Ireland, many of whom have passed the baton on to others. The organisation that I set up here all of those years ago is still going, still flourishing, still connecting other leaders, new leaders, generations in their common purpose. That baby girl is long, long grown and long flown back to the city of her birth, London, just as I came back to mine. And I'm now Chief Executive and Commissioner at the Independent Commission for Reconciliation and Information Recovery, sometimes known informally as the Legacy Commission. Truth, justice, and reconciliation matter as much to me today as they did 33 years ago. They are as important, even more so today, as then. As we try and build a future on our past, we must give answers to those who deserve them most, the people who lost their loved ones. And so we stand and cradle our past and our potential in both hands. But hope burns constant. If you have the words, there's always a chance you'll find the way. Thank you.